Okay, once again, the culture proof. Once again, the culture proof has to give away God's secret to man. Not that some people don't already know it, but here's the proofs. So like a verbal model of global warming, ozone depletion. Okay, so if you look up, let's start. So if you look up ozone, it's made from oxygen. It's like O and a 3. So oxygen that you can breathe is O and 2. And then there's oxygen atom, which is just one O, right? O and 1, right? So oxygen atom alone, you cannot breathe. Oxygen, O2, you can breathe. And then ozone, O3, is 3 oxygen atoms together. So when I guess when they say atom, they mean one, right? Oxygen atom is 1O. Oxygen, the popular name, the common name that we say oxygen, the type that we breathe, is O2. And then ozone is O3. And then and so I go back, oxygen atom, O1, can't do anything with it. It'll probably corrode your skin. But when it joins together, 2 oxygen atoms, it becomes O2, and we can breathe. That's what we use to breathe. Now, I'm not sure those skeptics even believe in oxygen O2 because they can't see it or anything. Seriously, I'm not joking you around. If it's an illiterate Canadian knock, odds are the guy doesn't even believe in oxygen. It's magic. He's still practicing Celtic witchcraft. And then ozone is O3. So what does global warming have to do with depletion of ozone? And what is the impact of the depletion of ozone? What is the impact of the depletion of ozone? Overall, the impact would be a cooler Earth. So another ice age. Not hotter Earth, a cooler Earth, but maybe hotter in terms of radiation. So imagine this. It'll be ice age outside, but the minute you go outside, you get skin cancer. Okay? So it's the difference, right? It's the difference between radiation and what do they call it? Like convection heat. So there'll be less convection heat, but more radiation. So it'll be ice outside, like an ice age. But the minute you step out, you instantly get skin cancer from like UV and stuff. So it's a double whammy. All right. It's not like tropical lying in the sun. It'll be an ice age, and yet you will get skin cancer more quicker than if you were lying on the beach. So it's gonna be crazy. And that's basically, and it's not called global warming is what's causing it. But it's called the third or second ice age, like another ice age. But it's gonna be sick because it's gonna be like ice outside, but the minute you step outside, you get skin cancer right away, faster than if you were lying all day on the beach today. It's gonna be sick. So what happens is global warming, which are like carbon dioxide, other stuff from cars and right, is not releasing or is gobbling up all the oxygen. All right, it's heating up the planet, but it's also gobbling up all the oxygen. Because back to what I first said, ozone is made from pure oxygen atoms. It's O3. You need 3 of them to make ozone. So this global warming, this pollution, all this like other stuff, right, is eating up all the oxygen. Not just us and animals, but all the, all the other stuff, industry and waste and stuff is eat and cutting down trees and stuff. Because trees, they take in carbon dioxide or monoxide, right? And then they produce oxygen, right? But all the pollution stuff eating up all the oxygen. And that's the global warming, right? So it's releasing all these greenhouse gases in the air, and yet less oxygen as well. So at the same time, um, there's 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 two layers of ozone. There's the one that's part of the atmosphere. The atmosphere, when you launch a rocket, it gets to a stage where it has to escape the atmosphere. So the atmosphere is that state, like everything before that point. So there's ozone in the atmosphere, but then after the atmosphere, there's also a thin layer called the stratosphere. And even at that point, you haven't escaped the Earth's gravitational pull yet, right? So when you launch a rocket, it has to escape the atmosphere, and then it jettisons some boosters, and then it has to escape the stratosphere to leave the planet entirely. Now, I'm not sure if some skeptics even fucking believe this shit's really happening. You know what I mean? They think it's Steven Spielberg production. Anyways, when you launch a rocket, it has to escape the atmosphere. And then when it does, it also has to escape the stratosphere to make it out of space. So there is ozone in the atmosphere. There's also ozone in the stratosphere. And the fewer oxygen atoms that make it up there, the thinner the ozone layer gets. So instead of sending up oxygen that we don't need, like I can take a deep breath, but then there's still tons of oxygen around me. Instead of sending those things out, we're sending less oxygen up into the atmosphere. We're sending more what they call greenhouse gases. All right, and so the ozone depletion takes place both in the atmosphere, like the rocket ship analogy, and also the stratosphere. All right. So what happens is, and the greatest and the biggest depletion is happening beyond the atmosphere in the stratosphere, the layer just before outer space. So, and what that's doing is it's letting in more UV light. All right. But the overall effect, the convection that we can feel, the overall effect is actually cooling. All right. Because what ozone does is it absorbs the UV light and then it warms the blanket. So a blanket is a good analogy, because if you have a blanket, a new blanket, right? It blocks UV, but also it absorbs the UV for you, absorbs the sunlight, it warms it up, and you're underneath and you're warm. But when it becomes threadbare, it lets more of that UV through. So you're cold, but also your skin is exposed to that UV. And now, in the future, the plant's going to be full of sheet like ice. But the minute you step out, the radiation hits you directly. And it's not even tropical, but you get skin cancer right away. So it's like a threadbare blanket. It doesn't absorb any of the UV to keep you warm underneath. It's full of holes. UV goes right through. The blanket keeps you cold as hell, and yet the UV gives you instant skin cancer. So that is sort of the culture proofs explanation of global warming, ozone depletion, next ice age, and crazy skin cancer. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.